Good morning and Assalamu alaikum, my dears. So, hope you all are doing well and welcome to yet another session of 805 Signatures. Today, we will be starting the chapter Excerpts from the Diary of a Young Girl, which comes in your third module. Now, I hope the diary of a young girl might be quite familiar to you. Many of you might have read the text. It was written by the Jewish girl Anne Frank, and it speaks of the horrors of living under the Nazis during the World War II. So let's move on. Now, who is Anne Frank? Anne Frank, her full name, Anneliese Marie, is a German-Dutch diarist of Jewish origin. She was born in the year 1929, 12th June, and died in February 1945 during the peak of World War II. She was one of the most discussed Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Now, what is the Holocaust? It is the term that has been given to the World War II genocide of the European Jews. It is said that during the World War II, which happened between 1941 and 1945, for a year gap of 4 years, more than 6 million Jews were killed. This mass killing is called the genocide. It took place across German-occupied Europe by the Nazi Germany and its collaborators. So it was really a shocking experience for one and all. Anne Frank is one such girl who gained fame posthumously. Posthumously means after her death, with the publication of The Diary of a Young Girl. Anne Frank was born in Germany to Otto Frank and Edith Frank. She lived most of her life in Amsterdam, Netherlands. She lost her citizenship in the year 1941 and became stateless. She was a precocious child, a very special child, endowed with perseverance, resilience, and courage. Perseverance here, it means a kind of ability to withstand all the difficulties. Resilience means an ability to come back. Whatever happens in life, whatever failures you have in life, this rebounding quality like a bouncing ball. So this kind of ability to come back. So she had perseverance and resilience, and at the same time had courage. She was a very special child, which is quite evident from her diary. Now, what was actually the plight of the Jews during Hitler's reign? The plight of the Jews in Nazi Germany was indeed miserable. What the Nazis did were, in the beginning stages of World War II, that is during the year 1941-42, they were just, what can we say, separated from the common people. Jews were said to be were asked to stand apart. They were not given an equal position. They were not given equal job opportunities. They were not given the right to go to the same school as the other children. So the Jews were slowly victimized in society. They were made to stand apart. And slowly, the Nazis, they started propagating this kind of hatred towards the Jews among the other people. And that is how people started looking at Jews as if they were enemies. It is a kind of biopolitics that was employed by Hitler. They were denied citizenship and were subjected to organized ostracism and seclusion. Seclusion means they were made to stand apart as a different community because of their ethnicity. Ostracism. What do you mean by the term ostracism? Ostracized meaning to stand apart, that is to be denied the equal rights. Now the Franks, the family of Anne Frank, they are the Franks. They represented the millions of Jewish victims of the Holocaust. They were persecuted during the Second World War. So the Jews were supposed to wear a kind of a yellow star on their bosom, on the dress, on the chest of their dress, and they were excluded from public life, professions, and public education. The goal of the Nazi propaganda was to demonize Jews. That is, make them like demons, like they were, really bad people, and to create a climate of hostility and indifference towards their plight. Plight meaning their situation. So they wanted so slowly after 2-3 years of this kind of ostracism, what happened was that naturally this became a community thought. This became a kind of, what can we say, collective consciousness that started building up inside the people. So the people also started looking at the Jews as if they were something like demons. To the anti-Semitic Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, Jews were an inferior race, a threat to German racial purity and community. Hitler's final solution was the Holocaust. So anti-Semitic is the term that is given to the hatred of Jews. Semite means Jewish. So anti-Semitic meaning anti-Jewish. So this anti-Jewish leader, Adolf Hitler, he considered Jews as an inferior race. They believed that the original Germans were very pure. They were the Aryan race. They were considered the Aryan race, pure blood. If you have read Harry Potter and all, you would know the difference, right? Pure blood, mud blood, etc. So how the mud bloods were differentiated. So similarly, like here, for Adolf Hitler, the Germans were people of pure race. They were the Aryans. And they were the superior race. And the Jews were the inferior race. So Hitler's solution to everything was the Holocaust. Now moving on. Here I have put on some pics related to the Holocaust. So you can see how the Hitler was, idolized by the people there, and the situation of the Jews in the concentration camps. They were taken to these concentration camps, and the situation there were, what can we say, was beyond human belief. It was said to be the most tragic of events that could have happened in the human history. If you want to get a beautiful idea, or if you want to get a clear idea of what was the Holocaust and what the Germans did to the Jews, or what the Nazis did to the Jews, I would recommend a good movie. That would be Life is Beautiful. It is an Italian movie by a very, very adept director. And the movie is so, it shows you the troubles or the effects of the Holocaust in such a beautiful manner that you will realize how lucky we are. It is not a sad movie in any sense. It's a movie that is filled with lots of drama and many good effects. So you get it's a really feel good movie, but in the end it will, really break your heart. Anyway, these are some of the pics that show you how the Jews were treated. They were taken to these concentration camps. What happened in these concentration camps was really horrific. They were taken there in trains. And the situation in the concentration camps was, as I said earlier, beyond belief. You can see the pictures here, how people are, just stacked together, and how thin they become. And the children and the old people, they were, according to the Nazis, really useless. They did not have any use for them. So they were completely, avoided. So they were killed off, it can be said. So these are some of the pics that would give you a fairly good idea of what happened in the concentration camps. Next, we'll be talking about Anne Frank's diary. So I would like you to look at these pics here. This is what her diary looked like, and a red checkered diary, and her handwriting there. So we'll be moving on to some important points about Anne Frank's diary. It was a red and white checkered book that she received as a gift on her 13th birthday on 12th June 1942. She names it Kitty. That is very important, that she is calling her diary Kitty. Kitty was actually a fictional character that Anne eventually addressed all her diary letters to. So, when you write your diary, you write, "Dear Diary." So like that, she always wrote her diary entries like "Dear Kitty," because the diary was addressed as Kitty. Actually, the name Kitty came from a series of books that Anne had read by the Dutch author Sissy van Maxwell. You have to know the name of the author there. And not all of her diary was addressed to Kitty, by the way. Some of the diary entries are very specifically addressed to other people. And in the diary entry, she says that she's thinking about publishing the diary after the war. So it shows how, what kind of a foresight she had. She knew that she was recording everything in her diary, and it was, very powerful, the message that she wanted to give through her diary. So she wanted it to be published, and she wanted people to know what happened during the World War II, or what happened to the Jews. She wrote in Dutch. So the diary, the original diary, was written in Dutch. That's also an important point that you have to note. She also used some German and English words. The diary was later translated into many languages, and it became very popular. It was only published posthumously. So it was only after the death of Anne Frank. She died, I think, in the year 1945. So when she died, her father came across this diary, and he wanted everyone to read it. So he publicized the diary. So it is he who came he was, I think, the only surviving member in her family after the World War II. So Otto Frank, so he was the one who took up the publishing of the diary. Anne Frank took this diary when she went into hiding. So shortly after her birthday, that is in the year 1942, they had to go into hiding. So when this prosecution against the Jews, it started becoming, more ferocious in a way. It became more monstrous to them to live there. So that is when many Jews, they started going into hiding. So some of the common men, or some of the original Germans there, they helped them, and that is how they went into hiding. We'll be going into all that in detail in our next class, when we'll be dealing with the text of the diary. So these are just some of the introduction and the context of the diary. She switched into 2 notebooks after the autograph book was full, and finally resorted to about 360 pages of loose leaf paper. So later she started writing in notebooks and then in paper.